What's up guys, it's Sue. Thanks for stopping by the studio to see more of the collection. Today we're going to check out the Samus Varia suit quarter scale figure from First 4 Figures to find out if this is the ultimate Metroid collectible. We're going to go over all of her details as well as talk about all the high points and low points that I found. Check out this little montage, soak it all in, and then come back here to break it all down with me. We Metroid fans, well, we got it tough. There's just not that many Metroid collectibles out there, even less in the premium spectrum, which is pretty much entirely cataloged from First 4 Figures, who manufacture today's featured collectible. This is the exclusive edition with its integrated light-up features, which was available only on First 4 Figures site. There were 2 pre-order periods for this figure. During the first pre-order period, the exclusive edition retailed for about $430 though there was a $30 early bird discount code, which brought it down to a solid $400 With shipping, I paid a total of about $440 The second pre-order period saw a substantial bump in the price, retailing for about $490 which really brought about an urgency of getting the early bird pricing for future collectible pre-orders. The exclusive edition had a limited production run of 2,100 units. The regular version does not light up, retailed for about $445 and was available at any authorized distributor, and is actually rarer with a limited production run of only 800 units. A total combined production run of 2,900 units doesn't make this figure particularly rare, even if Metroid collectibles overall are quite scarce. With the base included, I measured in Samus at a height of exactly 20 inches or 50.8 centimeters. That's going to the top of her cannon, which is just barely the highest point of this figure. The radius of the base is 13.25 inches or 33.66 centimeters, but the ends of the S logo jut out, extending the width to a total of 17.75 inches or 45.09 centimeters. Samus's cannon juts out over the base ever so slightly at about a quarter inch or 6.35 millimeters, so her depth is actually 13.5 inches or 34.29 centimeters. I weighed in Samus at a total weight of 11.10 pounds or 5.03 kilograms. A lot of that weight is actually in the base, as Samus's body feels fairly light, though that is due to the hollowed out internals made for all of the LEDs and wiring. This figure is constructed with mixed components in a combination of plastics and poly resin. Fortunately, putting her together is very simple and straightforward, as she fully assembles in 3 pieces: the base, her body, and her cannon. The Varia suit is arguably the most recognized suit in the Metroid universe. This particular Varia suit design is from Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Samus stands in a very iconic museum style pose that we've seen her in over a decade now. Her left foot is firmly planted down while her right heel is lifted ever so slightly. Her left hand rests on her hip while her cannon arm is aimed upward at an angle. Her pose is recreated quite well here, though there are very minor differences compared to the stock images, such as her hand placement and the angle of the cannon. So if you're a die-hard purist to the stock art, understand that this figure is not a perfect 100% physical rendition. Samus stands on a flat ornate disc with the S logo sprawled across and beyond the base. Though the pose is instantly recognizable and was a good choice for this figure, her cannon does partially cover her helmet and visor, limiting the viewing angles from from her right side. In my opinion, the best viewing angle of Samus is a frontal view, though from around her waist level where her visor is more visible. Considering the cannon does obstruct her visor, I am curious as to why her cannon is more tilted on this figure as opposed to the official video game stock images of her. Perhaps a more upright cannon doesn't translate as well in physical form. There are nuances on this figure that I could have never imagined only just playing the video games. For example, check out the black gap panel line running down her shins. The line on the left leg is quite a bit thinner than the one on her right leg. I'm assuming it to be a functional design that her outer suit panels are separate, split, and can expand for mobility, depending on whatever her needs may be. Kudos for that added detail. Her exposed undersuit is represented in detail with all of its ribbed layers. As mentioned earlier, this figure is made up of a combination of plastics and polyresin. It does present strange symmetry as the polyresin pieces can't hold the sharp geometric lines as the plastic pieces do, and it becomes apparent where they meet. It's especially prominent in her shoulder pauldrons here, where the frontal area is polyresin and the upper middle housing is plastic. In areas where the design becomes more complex, such as her cannon arm, they went with the plastic materials in order to get the clean lines and sharp, precise detailing that they couldn't quite achieve with resin. The surface of Samus's Varia suit is relatively featureless with no distinct patterns or details, so it's up to the paint and finish to make up for that. Fortunately, the Varia suit's vibrant color palette helps bolster her presence. The orange, red, and greens are distinctly Metroid and instantly recognizable. Even without her light-up features, she'll stand out in the most colorful of collections out there. There's a nice intentional paint fade around the bulbous areas, such as her shoulder pauldrons and her mid-torso abs area. The orange areas of her suit have a wet automotive finish, while the yellow areas are slightly duller and less glossy. The contrast in the two finishes do add depth to the Varia suit's overall look. Suits of tech armor such as the Varia suit are tough to recreate because they can be compared to cars. A small ding or tiny scratch on a car is an eyesore and can stand out. That is very much so with this Varia suit. The small imperfections almost seem magnified and hard to ignore. The artificial painted on crevice lines for the panels of her armor are one of the weakest areas of the paint, as they are sloppy and can have too obvious a hand painted on look, which doesn't translate well for the Varia suit. Another gripe I have is the wet finish is uneven in various areas and will be more noticeable in well-lit displays. For example, her left shoulder pauldron has a nice wet automotive finish, which is lacking in her right pauldron, where it almost looks like it's a matte finish. As mentioned earlier, the exclusive edition fully lights up and it's quite glorious. These light up areas include the helmet visor, chest plate, her left hand, shoulder pauldrons, the inside and outside of her legs, as well as the booster pack behind her and all over her arm cannon. I will say that the figure in its off state when the LEDs are not turned on looks very natural, and its LED function is very inconspicuous. When you turn on the LEDs, it certainly has a party trick vibe and wow factor to it. The visor on her helmet has a nice frosted finish when the LEDs are turned on. The only thing that would have taken the light up feature over the top would have been if Samus's face was just barely visible behind her visor. I can't tell you how badly I wish that feature was built in. What a missed opportunity on that one. While the light up feature is stunning, it's not perfect. The most prominent issue are the hotspots from the LEDs along her legs. These hotspots aren't an issue anywhere else on this particular figure we have here, though it may vary figure to figure. One of my personal favorite images is seeing the LED light spill out of the barrel as it highlights the corkscrew lands. We already talked about the LED spots on her legs, painted on lines, and uneven finish. Another thing is that her left hand resting on her hip doesn't really rest on her hip. It's actually slightly hovering. From frontal or left angles of her, it isn't too noticeable, but any angle from her right side or even from behind her, it becomes more noticeable. I always hark about lighting being the key to displaying your collectibles. This is going to be one of those rare times where I'm going to say that ambient lighting actually works better than direct lighting. One, because direct lighting actually mutes the light up feature of the Varia suit, and two, because I believe the wet finish actually detracts from the Varia suit's overall look. It's because of the wet finish that the Varia suit actually loses some of that metallic alloy look. In my opinion, if the Varia suit's overall finish was the same as the yellow gold areas, it would have had more of an industrial look as opposed to the showroom quality look that it currently has. So, is this the ultimate Metroid collectible? At a viewing distance of around 2 feet or 60.96 centimeters and further out, combined with a slightly dimmer setting where the imperfections on her suit are negligible, Samus in her Varia suit is as close to an idealized collectible for Metroid as can be. It's a bit ridiculous that a nearly $500 collectible has such specific demands to maximize its viewing potential, but it truly is where the magic is at, as she is quite a sight to behold in the right setting. Beautiful colors, classic pose, beloved suit, all at a large quarter scale size. And to top it all off, the light up feature takes everything to the next level. She is rough around the edges though, lacks polish, and is far from perfect. So I wouldn't say this is the ultimate Metroid collectible, but I do think this figure is as cool as it gets for Metroid fans so far. Though that may not be saying much because there aren't a lot of options out there in this space. Hopefully that will change in time as there's other suits to visit and definitely room to improve over this one. If anyone is listening, next time please put her face behind the visor. All criticisms aside, I'm just really glad and grateful that this figure got made at all, as I'm a huge fan of the Metroid series and even the Metroidvania genre overall. So that's everything I got for you on this collectible. Thanks so much for stopping on by and checking out Samus in her Varia suit with me. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and comment down below if you have any. As always, don't worry what others think, collect the things that you love, and I'll see you guys in the next upload. Again, thanks so much, happy hunting, and take care. Peace out, guys.